IVM.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Positively Unlimited podcast. This past week, I did a little AMA on Instagram and I asked people, what is the one block in your mind that you want to get rid of, or what is the one thought in your mind that's on repeat that you want to silence? And a lot of the responses that I got were about not believing in oneself, not believing that something will happen for them. It's what a lot of us term as self-doubt. Now, here's the thing about self-doubt. Well, in the larger terms, in terms of emotions, it's pain. It's painful to feel or experience self-doubt. It's exhausting and it angers us to constantly keep questioning what we are doing and how we are doing it. It's annoying and irritating to keep thinking whether something will work out for us or not. Now, I know that the counter to self-doubt is self-belief, and I've spoken about it in episode 64. There's also an episode called What If, which is episode number 75. There are tools in that can help you overcome self-doubt. There are exercises in there. There's ways of thinking that can help you snap out of that noise or that thought and repeat that is taking you into a downward spiral. But today I want to share a slightly different perspective about self-doubt. What if I told you that it was actually one of the most powerful tools that we had built within us? Self-doubt is what? Self-doubt is the tool that can lead us to conviction. Think about it. If the counter to self-doubt is self-belief, then when you build self-belief, what are you doing? You are building conviction. But conviction is more, while self-belief may be a way of being, and it's all about you as a whole, conviction can be something as micro as being convinced about one thing about your life and being convinced about who you are and what you are capable of. So when it comes to that, here's what you want to do. Every time that voice of doubt knocks and begins to talk to you and is threatening to go into an incessant loop, begin to ask yourself questions. Yes, question the doubt, but not in an angry way, not in a way to reject it, rather to welcome it. Everyone knows what devil's advocate is, or what a sounding board is. It's how we brainstorm and put out the ideas and figure out the pros and cons of whatever it is that we're choosing to do. Self-doubt is our built-in devil's advocate. Why then are we rejecting it? Now imagine if you are planning to quit your job and start a business, or quit your job and go on a sabbatical. And that voice of self-doubt is saying, hey, what do you think you are doing? How are you going to pay the bills if you do this? Now, you may get irritated when that question is going on in a loop. But why didn't you respond to it when it first came up? It's a valid question. How are you going to pay the bills if you quit your job, whether to go on a sabbatical or to start your own thing? Obviously, before you have taken this decision, you have thought about these things. Why is it then that when the noise of self-doubt comes up, we are not able to respond to it with clarity? Why do we hand our power away to self-doubt? So here's what I'm asking you to do this week. When that question of doubt comes up, give it a valid answer. So if it is asking you, how are you going to pay the bills? Your response should be, well, I've saved up enough money. Or your response should be, I've worked out the math. But instead of responding to that question of self-doubt, we go into a loop of fear saying, oh my God, that question is valid. What if I can't do it? What if X happens and what if Y happens? Now say you answer the question and Mr. Doubt tones his volume down. And then he says, okay, so you've saved money, but what are people going to think about this? I mean, are your parents going to be okay with it? Are your friends going to say, oh, wow? Or are they going to say, what is wrong with you? How are you going to respond to that? Now what doubt is doing is to throw judgment at you. Again, you have a counter to this. If you have thought about your decision, then you should be able to put it out there in front of your friends and family without worrying about what they will think. Firstly, in most cases, family and friends will come out to support you. Secondly, they are not wrong to question you the same way as doubt is questioning you. Thirdly, just like you respond to them, you should be able to respond to doubt as well. If you continue to answer all the questions that doubt throws at you, if you consistently call the bluff on that voice of self-doubt within you, you will slowly start to build conviction within your system. And as the volume of conviction increases, you will go about doing everything that you need to do towards that decision that you have taken. So, self-doubt isn't a bad thing. It's that annoying friend who has taken it upon himself to be your devil's advocate. Don't throw the devil's advocate out. Instead, call him over for a drink or even coffee and have that conversation. It may be difficult. It may make you rattle within. Go through it. Answer all the questions in single, crisp sentences. And wherever you don't have an answer, say thank you to self-doubt. Because if it hadn't brought that up, you would have been overlooking something very important that you need to be thinking about when taking this decision. So what will happen then? You will take that question and say, okay, I need to find the answer to this. Let me think about this. Let me see what I need to do over here. Let me work it out. Self-doubt is a friend, not an enemy. In one of the previous episodes, I know I have said this, that our negative emotions are our defense team. They are not the enemy. So maybe it's time we start conversing with them with an open mind and heart instead of rejecting these emotions. On that note, I'm going to leave you to think about how you can talk to self-doubt this week and build conviction. Like I mentioned earlier, listen to episode 64 and 75. All these episodes are available on the IVM website and the IVM app. And if you want me to talk about a specific topic, write to me on Instagram. You can DM me. My handle is PositivityAngel. So until next Monday.
I hope you enjoyed that show. We'd like to thank our sponsors this week, HDFC Life and Paytm Money. And let me tell you a couple of things that you should check out this week. On Litnama, Lakshmi talks to Hardik Waghela and Mohammad Muneem from the band The Words of Alif. They talk about how the band came to be and more. On Football the guys talk about Liverpool qualifying for the Champions League, City getting banned from it, and Arsenal thrashing Newcastle for a 4-0 win. On Golgappa, tune into a Laugh Riot episode where host Tripti talks to Karan and Neil from Bhadipa. On our Kannada podcast Thale Harate, Ramya Bhaskar and Sridhar Pabisetti talk to Ganesh and Pawan about reimagining school education for Industry 4.0. On Tapri Tales, Madhuri tells a tale of her struggle with keeping cockroaches away from the kitchen while wondering why there are no cockroaches in her mother's kitchen. On Beyond Cliché, Almas is joined by the Mahi Way actor Pushti Shakti to talk about beauty beyond size. Thanks and keep listening.
Welcome to Peak Planet, a new podcast where we delve into the fallouts of the growth path that we and indeed much of the world has chosen. Sustainable growth is the buzzword. Until we nail that down, we need to ensure that we keep our population healthy and also have the resources for our increasingly urban lifestyles. I'm Karthik Ganesan, a researcher at the Council on Energy, Environment and Water, a Delhi-based policy research institute where for almost a decade we've been trying to explain and change the use, reuse and misuse of our resources. In the first season of Peak Planet, we take up air pollution, public enemy number one and an invisible one at that. Increasingly, the most important risk factor for adverse health outcomes, air pollution has become the most unwanted byproduct for an aggressively growing economy. Over 4 episodes, we find out how prepared our systems are to deal with this crisis. You can catch the entire first season of Peak Planet out now on the IVM Podcasts app or website, or wherever you get your podcast from.